Hello, you beautiful people on YouTube and Rumble. Well, I got some serious shit to talk about, and it's mainly Microsoft. And the reason being, I just gotta move this to desktop 3. The reason being is because they are exposing a lot of people and basically privacy violations too. And that should be a red flag, period. Okay, the review of the failure of the history of the Microsoft was doing good back in the 80s and 90s until the 2000s, and right around 2020, that's when shit started hitting, or 2025, that's when shit started hitting the fan with Satya Nadella. Now the other reason is because of the removal of a feature, they so call it a feature. It's not really a feature, it's basically called the control panel, and the word is basically self-explanatory: control panel. Now, why they removed it? It's why, because they don't want the AI taking over control of your computer, or they don't want you controlling your computer at all. And that's Microsoft. Now, they're trying to say your computer hardware, they are saying that your hardware is no longer yours when you bought the hardware out of your own, with your own money. It's still early in the morning for me, so, but Microsoft screwed up. And I mean big time. Now, the implementation of Copilot and AI, or AKA AI, was an okay thing back in, I guess, 2022 or something like that, or during the pandemic. But then they rolled out another feature called Recall. And Recall takes screenshots of your entire desktop with your personal information exposed, your financial information exposed, along with your IP address exposed, which basically it's doxing you. And it's not supposed to do that. Now, they wanted new requirements for having Windows 11 installed. Basically, I have the NPU chip and TPM chip. Basically, a CPU and TPM chip. The NPU, neurological processing unit. We don't need another Terminator. Cancel that chip out permanently, because we don't need that. And what got into Satya Nadella's mind with that is a whole nother ball game, and I have no idea what he is thinking anymore, so I'm too close to the microphone. But he did this to himself. The other thing is that they started blocking downloads of other OSs too. Microsoft did. And they're trying to say your computer is no longer yours. It's ours now. By law, you're not supposed to do that. But I will mention Bill Gates later on, where he broke the trust in 1998. But I'll get to that later in the video. And I was saying about Recall taking screenshots at every 5 seconds. It's really basically every 5 milliseconds. I looked at the C++ coding. Don't think I'm dumb. I know your tricks. Don't try me. Don't fucking try me. I've been doing this for how long? Since I was 7 years old, from 1997 or 1996. From MS-DOS to now. Come on. You think most of us are that stupid? We're not. The only thing is that they were breaking simple applications, and AI is taking control over them by default. There's something like calculator, Outlook, changing the way the Outlook works, breaking Notepad with their so-called Go Pilot, and now File Explorer, which is the important tool as well. File Explorer is an important tool to have so you can see what is in your file system. Without knowing it, that's a red flag to you and possibly to law enforcement and whoever else. That's a red flag. But as for AI taking control over it, no, absolutely not. The only thing is that Microsoft is also storing passwords in an unsecured text document. They say they made the patch where they made an update where it's encrypted, and it's really not. But what is it? It's SHA-256 encryption, which is not secured. The SHA-256 encryption is not secured. MD5 encryption is, but it's not really that encrypted either. It's basically something else. But Microsoft's password manager is not secured either, because it saves your passwords by default from their so-called Microsoft Edge, and you don't do that. But they're also blocking downloads from other OSs too, which I mentioned. But the best way to get away from Windows is basically deleting or formatting your SSD or HDD, your solid state drive, or your hard drive, completely, basically formatting your hard drive completely from Windows. Completely. I mean blank. Blank it out and start over with Linux. I guarantee you, because I am sitting on Linux right now. So switch to my scene 2, which doesn't want to display my desktop. I don't know why OBS is doing this to me. These are my notes, but I'll move that over here. Move that over there. And I'll move my camera up. There we go. Anyway. But like I said, deleting your SSD, well, Windows, basically the Windows partition, I mean, blanket it out. That's your best option. And You'll be happy on Linux, and I am on Linux right here, right now. As you can tell, I am on Linux, and I can open programs like Steam, which I can open like games and all that, and I can open Discord, and I won't have any problems. I can even browse the internet. I mean, I have sound too, so I mean, but I'm not gonna go through all that. But I'm happy on Fedora, which is I don't know what you call that, but it's an OS. But they did come out with the latest OS and the latest kernel 2 days ago. If my E would work. So right now I'm on Fedora Linux 44, KDE Plasma Desktop Edition, 86, basically 64-bit, and the Linux kernel is 7.06. And I have noticed it where it performs flawlessly. So that should tell you something right there, Microsoft. But another reason is all these reasons are a red flag. But I'm going to say it right now. Basically, reason 12 I've written down. Reason 12, all these reasons are a red flag. Antitrust violation from 1998. Bill Gates learned the hard way. Now Satya Nadella is violating the same law. Basically, privacy invading in so many ways with AI. We're not picking on you. You just screwed up. And now you're spying on us. And we know you want to send this information to China. And we know you want to send this information, our information, to India as well. Because I gotten 3 fucking spam calls from First Third Bank, they call themselves. I looked them up. They are a scam, period. They are a scam, period. And that was 2 days ago. So, I wonder where they got my phone number from. But I'm going to say it right now. You can uninstall Windows and install Linux. Zorin 18.1, Linux Mint, Fedora, Ubuntu, CentOS, Bazite, Catchy OS, Pop OS. There is over 30 plus distros out there. Some are a failure and some are not. The ones I just mentioned are not a failure. So so you're better off just installing Linux, formatting your drive, and just installing Linux because Microsoft does not care about you or your privacy because they want the 1984 Orwellian basically control over your computer. And Bill Gates tried to do that back in the past in I think 94. And the Supreme Court caught him, or the police caught him. And that's when the Child's Online Privacy Protection Act came into play from 1996, and it was signed into law by Bill Gates in 1998 by Bill Clinton. And but it's a complete mess, I can tell you that. I'm going to say it right now, but for new Linux users, you're better off with Zorin because it does have that Windows feel if you're still used to Windows. And you are better off on Zorin 18 for new Linux users or Ubuntu. I mean, it has the simple desktops, but Fedora or anything that's advanced or anything like that, you'll get it there once you learn the commands and all that too. For new Linux users, you are better off. People are seeing that Linux is extremely hard to manage, and no, it's not. You can manage it through its own update manager or store, or get programs you are familiar with installed. It is not that hard at all. It was back during the Windows XP era, but those times are different. So, in other words, Linux was hard back in the past, but now they made it so extremely easy where you could do everything. Because I remember from the Windows XP era, I had TeamSpeak 3, and people didn't believe me I was on Linux. I said, you might want to look at my profile. And someone did, and he was like, you're full of shit. I said, you might want to look at it again. What operating system on it? And he's like, oh shit, you are on Linux. So, if I've been doing this shit since the Windows XP era, I don't think you understand the technology that we have that you can run Windows programs nowadays. Because you got Linux kernel 7.06. I think that was like Linux kernel, I think it was on 4.0 or something, 4.06 or something. Back in the day. Something like that. But they really outdid themselves with Linux kernel 7, which basically runs everything. So, if you have Windows programs that are needed, well, Wine has you covered, including Proton, Wine 32, 64 of both, Wine Tricks, Proton QT, and Wine GUI is what you need to run Windows programs. Or you can get it all of that, including Bottles or Luterus, which are installation handlers for Windows programs. So, because the Epic Games that doesn't want to run on Linux, you gotta have Bottles for it to run, and Bottles is basically a program in Linux. You can run Windows programs with it. And Proton QT, Steam has already figured that out because they want to do something different with their games and everything too. So they started doing messing around with Linux themselves. I think they started doing that back in the Windows XP era. So, but not only that, HP dumped Windows, Samsung, Lenovo, Dell, and other major computer companies are taking the hint that Microsoft is no longer safe because they are spying on you and taking control over your computer over at home or over at work, which is a big red flag. So, and I think I mentioned this earlier, but I'm going to read it out. I said, now that recall is capturing your lifestyle, financial information, plus what you are doing, recall is considered illegal by default. that was implemented by Satya Nadella. Even security researchers over at Microsoft raised concerns about this, yet it was ignored by an insulting Indian from India who thinks he is better. He thinks he's better or knows better, which in turn he doesn't. I mean, by all means, you now can you can insult Microsoft by calling it Microslop or Microdicks, because Nadella is no longer has a future other than AI slop, and that is true. And Microsoft is spying on you. They want to know your significant other. They want to know if you have kids or anything. They want to know this, and that, and this, that, and this, and that. You don't need to tell them anything at all. It's privacy invading. Police know this. Law enforcement knows this. Even the firemen and medical knows this. And they're making the switch as we speak. Microsoft, you really screwed up. You really did. I don't know what came over on Satya Nadella's mind, but you really did screw up. I was on desktop the entire time, but I don't care. But you don't do that. You don't privacy invade anything like that. You don't record screenshots. You don't take screenshots of people's information and store it on it into a text document where you can get their information. Basically, a nefarious person or a hacker can get your financial information or anything like that. No, absolutely not. I mean, even police and basically law enforcement, medical, and all that, they're saying the same thing. What the hell is wrong with you, Microsoft? What the hell is wrong with you? So, you did this to yourself. And you really did. Right now, the only machine that has Windows on it, and I'm going to say it right now, the only Windows that worked is basically Windows 7. Windows 7. That was the last OS that worked properly. Windows 8 and up, spyware. Indefinite spyware. And you should take that into consideration. Microsoft, why don't you reactivate Windows 7? Why don't you reinstate Windows 7? Getting the updates and everything. Or better yet, you're switching over to Linux. Why don't you just shut your company down? Bill Gates knows he didn't want this. But now he's making vaccines for the hantavirus. No. I don't trust you, Bill Gates. Not after you just killed, several million people? From the COVID shots? I don't trust you. And I recommend that I demand that Microsoft be shut down permanently. Because they are a security risk, they are a red flag, and they're privacy invading, and they're violating federal laws as we speak. Basically, internationally too, they're violating federal laws. I mean, all countries. So, your best option is to basically switch over to Linux. That's your best option. Anyway, I forgot to introduce myself. This is DJ Trax. That's it. What I have for the video right now. Other than that, Enjoy the rest of your days on Linux and have fun. Always have fun on Linux. You will notice the difference when you switch to Linux. You will notice the performance difference too. So you will definitely notice that. So this is DJ Trex signing out. And fuck you, Microslop or Micro Dicks. Peace out.